Hi everyone, and welcome back to our little show. As always, I'm Kate, and joining me is one of my bestest friends in the world, Nat.
Hello.
Today, we're going into part 2 of Gary Ridgway, the Green River Killer.
Boo. We
If you
hate
listen
Gary.
We hate Gary. But if you listen to the previous episode, you know that this is going to go into significant detail and discuss violence against sex workers. As Nat pointed out last episode, and I agree, it is a good idea, we're going to list resources for people who are in the sex work industry. So, if you or anyone you know are in danger or need help, you can visit harmreduction.org/issues/sex-work. Or you can also text or call 888-702-7273. We will repeat those resources again at the end of the episode, but with that being said, this is Wading into the Void.
Let's go. Dun, dun.
Alright everyone, we are back for Gary Ridgway, the Green River Killer, Part 2, and I hope you're prepared because it is going to be a roller coaster of different emotions. Nat's probably going to get pissed again, but the victim stories have the right to be shared, so that's exactly what we're going to do today.
True. Yeah. I hate Gary. I feel for the victims, even though I've only heard a couple of the stories. But And honestly, I feel like his wives can definitely be considered victims. Not murder victims, but they're victims to him.
Oh, they suffered.
Yeah.
In some way, shape, or form.
Exactly.
Just being in his presence is enough.
His child, like...
Yes.
I don't think this guy had anyone that genuinely loved and cared for him. In the end. Maybe his deranged mom, I don't know.
In some weird, twisted way, maybe.
Yeah.
But before we get into the nitty-gritty of it all, let's do our tarot reading, and then maybe we can share our exciting experience from the weekend.
Yeah.
So, what do you want to do first? Tarot or exciting experience?
Let's talk about our weekend and then do the tarot.
All right. So, over the weekend, Nat and I took a little trip to the Van Gogh immersive experience in Schenectady, and it was amazing.
It was
out
so
of this
cool.
World.
It was beautiful.
It was just so great.
Yeah. A lot of thought and artistic devices were really like thought out, because it is just so. This one in particular, I know they're all over the country. I saw that they have one in Las Vegas right now.
Yep.
But this one specifically was put together inside of an old armory building, so it's just like basically a huge giant hangar, right? Like a big empty building. And
huge, like, brick style warehouse.
Yeah.
It was really dope.
It was so cool. Like, walking up to it, you were like, no way is this inside of this building. Like, we're gonna get murdered in here. And then you go in, and it's like...
The front actually kind of looked like a church, if I'm being honest.
It did, yeah. Go check out the pictures.
The doors were really ornamental.
Yeah, go check out the pictures on our Instagrams, at nat__ice, and...
_page_snob. We both posted quite a few pictures, and you should kind of get the memo of the experience.
It was just, like, insane. There was a astronomically large, giant room just filled with chairs that you just go and sit in and watch a shit ton of projectors project
like
onto
a
these...
360 view.
And it's like a 3-story high, like, room.
Yes.
It's huge. It's massive. You cannot even comprehend how large this experience is. And they had projections of certain artworks from him. and then they all just flowed together so seamlessly with their transitions and stuff like that. Like, it's amazing. If you have a chance to check it out, they have them all over the country. If you have a chance to check it out,
I believe they're
go.
open till September.
Yes, and it was like $40 a person, which is really manageable.
Totally worth it.
For how much you get just experiencing that. It's so cool. You get the traditional, like, museum walking experience where you read about his life and you look at his paintings, look at his artwork. They did a complete, like, recreation of his painting.
Specifically his bedroom series.
Yeah, it's like...
So they actually recreate it in, like, 3D, so you could, like, walk through and experience it, and it was really cool.
What is it called? My Room in the Aries or something? I can't remember what it's called.
I can't remember.
I know it said Aries. That's all I remember. I'm sorry,
it was
Dan
in
Co.
French.
Was it?
We apologize.
I don't know.
He was living in Paris then, so...
But...
Yes.
With
his boyfriend, Gauguin.
Okay, boyfriend, yes. No, I agree. I think they probably were lovers.
Yes.
But, yeah, it's so interesting. If you have a chance to check it out, go check it out. It's $40 a person for an adult. So it's cheaper. I think it was cheaper for seniors, maybe students, and children.
Yes. They had, I think children were like half the price. Veterans had like a $5 or $10 discount, and students did too, as well as teachers, I think, or like public service workers. So
it's
go
so
check it out.
cool. Go check it out. Worth the money, worth the time, everything. It's so cool. Like, you could be there for a whole day if you wanted
really
to.
could. In the 360 room, they were projecting essentially like a film that they had put together of, like Nat said, his artworks, but they also had like some of his most memorable quotes.
Yeah.
From like his artwork and his outlooks on life, and it was just very masterfully done. It was just so nice.
I took a picture of my favorite quote. I don't know why this is my favorite one. I think, well, I have two favorite ones. My first favorite one that I saw that was like a big, huge one that they had, it was, "Sadness will last forever." And it's funny to laugh at, but like...
It's true.
It's such an emotional quote, considering everything that he was going through mentally. It's just like...
Because homie was struggling.
Yeah.
Straight up.
And then, what was the other one?
There were just too many quotes for me to digest.
Oh, he said, "Great things are not done by impulse, but by a series of small things brought together."
That's a good one.
Which, that one really hit me too. And then this last one, he said, "What would life be if we hid..." Oh, fuck. Hang on. I can't read cursive, apparently. Oh, he said, "What would life be if we had no courage to attempt anything?"
That's very true, honestly.
And it was when they had all of those fall leaves fly through, and it just uncovered this, and I was like, that's the podcast.
It really is.
Like, I was like, this is awesome. You could literally look at a quote and, like, attach it to something in your life.
Like, there was this one, and this is the one that stood out to me, and it's definitely not verbatim, but it was something along the lines of, "Success is a series of little failures," or something like that.
Yeah, I saw that. It was like, yeah, it was something along the lines of, success is a mixture of failures and, like, I don't remember. I don't remember
like
either.
Courage or something like that.
Yeah, that one was another good one. But yeah, I thought they should have gone more into his turmoil. They did a very artsy version of showing his depression and turmoil, but I thought they could have done more.
Honestly, I feel like they took a very Van Gogh interpretation of how he would have dealt with it. So that's all we'll say. Hopefully it's a little teaser enough to make you go check it out yourself if you can.
It's crazy. Go see it. Go look. Go experience it. Mm-hmm. Learn about Van Gogh and why he loves sunflowers so much. And because the
staff is very friendly.
Oh yeah, they're so friendly. Well, at the one in Schenectady, I'm sure probably everywhere else, but at Schenectady, we went with Dylan, and we were taking a picture in the front area. And was he like bouncer? No, he was like
he was like a bouncer, security guard,
ticket
front
person.
Door greeter, something like that.
He was yelling at the person who took our photo because he was like, "You have two beautiful girls right here, and you're making him sit on the side. He needs to be in the middle of these two beautiful girls." Talking about Dylan, it was so funny. And Dylan was like,
just like, ah.
All right. Enough gushing about the Van Gogh experience. Let's get into the tarot.
It was a time.
It was so fun.
It is tarot.
Yes.
So, I'm going to kick it off with our oracle reading, and I am reading from the Illustrated Herbiary Oracle Card Deck, a 36-card deck of Bewitching Botanicals by Maya Toll and illustrated by Kay O'Hara. Mm-hmm. And the card we picked is Oats.
Oats. That's
and at the top it says Just Be, but it's very much serene. So here's the card.
Oh, I love that.
So we have like some Japanese stacking stones with like a nice calming lake. It looks like there's like maybe some stones on the lake or like some dragonflies, and there's like grass growing in the background, and we have mandalas, and it's just very calming. But Oats says, Avana Sativa. Shh, shh, shh. Oat murmurs as you run your hands over her tops. Shh, shh, she says as the wind picks up, trying to ruffle Oat's ever-present calm. If the breeze continues, she'll gently chide, chee, chee, chee. But that's all the reaction you'll get as she rubs shoulders with her sisters, laughing quietly and murmuring that all really is well, despite what the wind, the radio waves, or the internet has to say. When you slip into stress, Oat smiles gently and runs her fingers through your hair. Stop grappling endlessly with your thoughts, she whispers. Soften to the wind, be open to the sky, and ground yourself in earth to know the truth of this one precious moment. So that honestly relates directly back to our Van Gogh experience.
Yeah,
just
exactly.
Calm and embracing what's around you.
I think the Van Gogh experience was the first time that I was ever able to just sit and experience something in silence without constantly being on my phone. I checked my phone once because the Discord was popping off and I wanted to respond to them, and I sent them some photos, but other than that, I was not on my phone for the entire experience, and that is just a very rare thing for me. I am always on my phone. I am completely enamored by my phone. That's why I'm like, I feel like I have ADHD, because I cannot focus on anything except for my phone. Like, I'm like, oh, what's this? What's that? What's this? Like, who can I talk to now? Like...
Yes.
Yeah. So...
I get it.
So, yeah, that's also why it really struck a chord with me. Because it was, like, the first thing that really captured my attention that I was, like, completely awestruck by.
You were pretty enamored with it. You were, like...
Yeah.
You were looking around. You were, like, just enjoying yourself.
Yeah, I thought it was really cool. So...
Alright, hit me with yours.
We're going back to the Transforming Dragons deck by Sonia Cafe.
Hi, Sonia.
Hi, Sonia. Oh, wait.
Oh my god, that is my car's name.
I know! Whoa, wait. We were just talking about this over the weekend. That's crazy. This is from 1999, by the way. I think I said it.
Just a quick look into my life.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
So, for those who don't immediately know me and my cars, my first car was a Toyota Corolla, who I very fondly named Tonya Toyota. And she was a beast of a car. I backed into my friend's deck with her. She didn't have a scratch. That deck was flattened. And she went through it, but she was a beast. No scratches. She was awesome. I sold her to Vroom last year and bought my new car.
Vroom sponsor Subaru.
Bought my new car a Subaru a Subaru Crosstrek from a place around town. And in honor to Tonya, I decided that Sonia is her younger sister, and she should appropriately be named Sonia Subaru. So,
I haven't named my car yet. My Prius is named Penelope, and I sold it to Dylan. So Penelope lives on, although she is
she's chugging.
Now. She's chugging. But I have a Honda Civic.
She's been chugging a few years.
Yeah. So I have a Honda Civic now. Katie and I got our cars around the same time.
We did.
Brand new. Both of us fucked up our bumpers. Brand new. Immediately after owning them. I didn't do anything, okay? That's all I'm gonna say. I love you, Dylan.
I didn't either. That's all I'm gonna say.
She puts her finger over her mouth. So, okay. Back to Transforming Dragons by Sonia Cafe.
Yes.
And our dragon for today is Duveros.
Ooh.
Duveros. Look at him.
Duveros.
I don't know if he's like Spanish or what.
I'm going Valyrian. From Game of Thrones.
I was like, what the fuck does that mean? He's pretty cool. He's like red and orange and a little bit of yellow. And he's got a spotted tail. He's looking up. Like, he looks like he's sunbathing. He's like looking up with his eyes closed. Look at him.
Homie really is just like, he looks appreciative of something.
Which is crazy because
you pulled this upside down.
Well, okay, I remembered there's no reverse meanings of this.
Oh, okay.
But, he represents selfishness.
I can see that from the pose, honestly.
He's like holding his chest, like he's happy with himself.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think this is the second selfish or greedy dragon that we've gotten.
I think it is.
Our first one was greed, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So
whatever his name was.
Duveros thinks only of himself and pays attention only to himself, no matter what the circumstance or the situation. He always wants to be at the center of the stage and run the show. He claims the best piece, the best place, the best view, in short, the best of everything, must first be his. After all, is there a dragon who could be more important than he? Duveros lives in the dark and has no idea of the meaning of sharing or uniting with others. His favorite affirmation is, nobody is more important than I. My needs come first. This guy's kind of low-key a bitch. Okay.
A little bit.
So, this deck has Draconic Traps, the Treasure, and Transforming Duveros, or Transforming the Dragon. So those are all sections that they list. So the traps are like the negatives about the dragon. The treasure is the positives, and then Transforming Duveros is how you can go about fixing this and turning it into a positive.
Gotcha.
So, his draconic traps are loving self above all because no one would deserve being loved by you.
Okay.
Making personal needs the only priority. And ridiculing any act of kindness. Duveros is an asshole.
Yeah, Duveros is straight up a dick.
Yeah. And then,
why did we get this card?
I don't know. The treasure however, is you can develop a magnificent capacity for loving your neighbor as you love yourself. It's your interesting thought, a little bit of a religion aspect in there.
Mm-hmm.
That's what Jeebus said, right? Yeah. You can express...
Sorry, I'm not fond of my neighbors.
I like my neighbors, actually. They're pretty nice.
I live in a rougher part of town.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of do, but the people around me are nice.
There were some drug busts and people were literally hiding behind, like, the trailer on my property, so...
Oh my God.
I don't like my neighbors.
All right.
Except my grandmother, she's chill.
Well, yeah. Is that your cute grandma who was, like, 50 with a 12-year-old? I'm just kidding, Katie. I'm just kidding. No, she was like
but yes.
18 with your grandpa.
17 with a 14-year-old or something. I don't know. I love her. It was a different time.
I laugh every time I hear that episode again where I was like, is she okay? And you're like, she's cute. And I'm like, that didn't answer my question. All right. Back to
She's
this.
like 5'1", maybe.
All right.
She just acts like a child. She's fun.
What's her name? Susie?
Well, her name is Suzanne. I call her Graham or Susie Sunshine.
Susie Sunshine. Okay, that makes sense.
And she just likes to giggle. So.
Yeah, get it.
About everything, so.
She'll probably live
but
a long
she's
time.
been pretty saucy lately.
Oh.
So, like, we keep talking about, like, maybe getting another dog. It's not gonna happen. But my grandmother's like, oh, well, I could get a friend, blah, 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 but I can't get one the same size as Henley because they'd knock me over. Mm-hmm. But she has been going around telling everyone that my parents are telling her she should get a dog.
Susie? Sunshine? What are you talking about?
I think she's trying to get someone to buy her an animal.
She's
my mom's like, well, why don't you get a cat? And she's like, I fucking hate cats.
Oh my God. God damn.
So she's been saucy lately.
Your grandma's Gary Ridgway? I'm just
No. She does not have that in her.
That's a bad joke. We should get back to
she
this.
did have 6 kids, but
your grandma's
she didn't treat
a
any of them that way.
Oh, I thought that's what you meant when you said that. Not that she has kids.
I mean, it might not be wrong.
My face right now.
Susie got it back in the day, that's all I'm saying.
Oh my God.
Continue.
Oh my God, okay. Duveros' treasures! Alright? The second one, you can express abundant generosity that comes from the soul.
Okay.
I guess my ass is quaking right now. Sorry, just IBS tings. Anyways, the last treasure is you can show a loving consideration towards others, be it a plant, a stone, an animal, or a person. Interesting.
I prefer plants over people.
Yeah. And then transforming Duveros. Sharing yourselves with others brings abundance to your life. So it's all about really abundance.
Opening up.
And opening up. And how can you not hear that?
I literally can't, so.
So loud.
Her ass is rattling.
It's my stomach. I have IBS, and it's been really bad the past 2 weeks because my diet has been changing.
Mm-hmm.
And anxiety and stress. But this shit gurgling. You should probably call all that out. Nobody needs to know about my IBS.
It's okay.
All right.
I won't make them.
Tell me about...
It's time.
Sir Nasty.
Yes, Sir Nasty. Great name for him. So, when I wrapped
No,
up
he
part
doesn't
one...
even deserve to be a sir.
Bitch nasty.
Bitch nasty. Mr. Bitch McNasty.
Yes. So when I wrapped up part one, the bodies of Gary Ridgway's first 4 victims, Wendy Caulfield, Marcy Chapman, Cynthia Hines, and Opal Mills, had been found along the Green River, and the Green River Task Force was officially founded. We're in 1982 at this point, just to remind everyone of like a general timeline, and Gary has been married and divorced twice now, has had a son, and is addicted to sex, which means he visits sex workers often. And, while the task force was recognizing that they had a serial killer on their hands, they called in Special Agent John E. Douglas from the FBI.
Is that the one from Mindhunters?
Yes, ma'am.
Ooh.
Thank you for pointing it out.
Yay.
Mindhunters, still waiting on season 3. So if you haven't watched it, go watch it, because they might be renewing it this next year.
Ooh, I think I'm on
And it's an amazing show.
I think I'm on season 2.
Just a small shout out.
It's really good.
It is really good. Couldn't recommend it more. But Douglas developed a profile of the suspect. And this profile would eventually help the task force narrow down a list of Johns throughout the investigation. As this was happening, though, lurking in the shadows, waiting for his time to strike, was Gary Ridgway. And strike he did.
Ooh.
Only a few weeks after the Green River Task Force got to work, Tracy Winston was spotted for the last time. Tracy was 19 years old at the time of her death, which most likely occurred the same day she disappeared, September 12, 1982. She went missing at the Northgate Mall, but her body was found much later, on March 27, 1983, 1 mile from Peck Bridge, along or around the Green River. By this time, Gary might have actually caught on to the fact that the police were on his trail, or at least finding the bodies of his victims. Because after Tracy, Gary decided to move his dumping site to a location called Star Lake, which is in King County, Seattle. However, this seems to also be the time of Gary's cooling off period, as he wouldn't murder again until March 1983.
So how long was that in between?
About a span of 4 to 5 months, give or take a few days.
Which, honestly, that's a very short cooldown period.
For most killers, yes.
Yeah, because some have, years in between.
No, when he first got started, he was ridiculous.
So, how many people did he kill in his first, massacre?
In that first one?
Yeah.
I believe that was...
River, in that first chunk.
That first chunk?
Yeah.
5.
That's a lot. In the span of how long?
A couple of months.
Oh my god. Yeah, that's a lot.
But most, if not 95% of his victims he actually killed within 2 years, and he killed 49 confirmed people.
That's actually fucking insane.
So he started and did not stop.
Yeah.
But
That's
this
crazy.
cooling off period actually gave the task force some time to build their investigation. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough time to stop Ridgway before he struck again. In March of 1983, 17-year-old Dolores Laverne Williams was last seen at a bus stop. Her body was found March 31st near Star Lake Road. Alma Smith, an 18-year-old girl, was last seen on the 3rd of that same month. Alma's body was found on April 2nd near Star Lake Road with clear strangulation marks around her neck. In this same location, Gary dumped the bodies of Terry Renee Milligan, a 16-year-old girl who was last seen on August 29th, 1982, and 17-year-old Sandra K. Gabbert, who was last seen on April 17th, 1983.
So he seems to like younger women or, older teenagers.
So he was definitely a killer of opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't necessarily have a specific, victim type.
Yeah.
So...
just women.
Women, prostitutes, runaways, basically anyone he could get his hands on, essentially.
Well, did he kill any men?
No, other than the attempted stabbing of the 6-year-old boy that we talked about, yeah.
Which I feel as though that wouldn't count in comparison to the kills, because that was just like a curiosity.
It was an assault, more so.
Yeah.
But something that Gary does that isn't typical is he actually crosses race lines.
Okay.
So he doesn't just kill, white prostitutes. He's also killing people of color.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say roughly, just going off of the lists that I looked at of his victims, I want to say roughly 50% of them were either of, Latin, Latinx origin, or, African-American, black race, It was quite a mixed bag.
It seems like it's just primarily young women.
Women. Yes.
Young women.
I think the oldest victim I saw was, in her 30s.
Which, that's still pretty young.
Yes. And his youngest was a bone find. The person had effectively just completely decomposed by then. But the age range they had given on that victim was 14 to 18. So for the general purposes, we'll say his youngest victim was 14.
So did they find out who that was?
No.
Oh.
So we actually have a couple of different bone finds. So that those people haven't been identified yet because it was literally just bone. There was no other, genetic markings. So until our DNA testing is much, much better, they're probably not going to be found.
That's really sad.
But it's really unfortunate.
Yeah.
But on March 10th, 1985, the body of Carrie Ann Royce, who was just 15 at the time of her disappearance between May 13th and June 13th, 1983, was found. She was also strangled and dumped in the area. So by this time, we're looking at a total of 12 victims, which is crazy for me to believe, because this is just a year after he got started. 12 victims.
And for some serial killers, that is more than they kill. Some serial killers only have, 6 victims, and they're seen as, the worst serial killers ever.
The difference is Gary literally didn't stop.
Yeah. Didn't the BTK killer, he didn't really have that many victims, did he? Let me see.
He definitely had way too many, but...
Well, any serial killer has too many victims.
Yes, but his were more so the gruesomeness of the attacks. And he had a period of no kills that were ridiculously long.
10 or 20 years.
Long enough to completely raise his daughter.
Yeah. Yeah, that's another crazy one. That one's so weird. And the way that they found him, that's another weird one.
He's just a dumbass. Can we start with that? Hi, if I send in a floppy disk, can you trace it? No, sir. No, we can't.
He's so
what do you think, fucking idiot?
He's so stupid. I hate him. He looks stupid. Sorry. I'm just
they all?
looking at a picture. 10.
His stupid glasses.
10 people.
10 victims?
Killed, which is
So,
crazy.
Gary Ridgway killed more people in a year than fucking BTK. Find, torture, kill.
Okay, so he murdered 10 people between 1974 and 1991. And he resurfaced in 2004.
Yep.
But I don't think he killed anyone then.
I think that's when he, like...
That was when he was playing around
let
in
them onto his
stupid
trail and
church's
shit.
computer because he's a dumbass.
Yes.
Anyways, if this isn't blatantly clear, I hate serial killers.
Yes.
Especially male serial killers, because I haven't heard enough about female serial killers to hate them. Any serial killer is bad, but
yes.
It seems like...
the numbers are disproportionate.
Yeah, I know.
We'll leave it at that.
So much so. It's so fucking crazy. It's because of how people raise, like, cisgendered men. Society is so horrible towards cisgendered men.
That, and honestly, probably a lot of female serial killers have gone unrecognized because for the longest time they're just like, women aren't capable of that.
Oh, for sure, that.
And the women are like, I'm hiding the bones in, like, something fucking creepy. But...
yeah, I do think that I think women serial killers are less show-offy. They're more so just doing it.
Yeah. I would agree.
Like there was this one lady who, like, was eating people. I can't remember her name. But I do remember that person that I mentioned the last episode.
Oh, yes, yes.
So, Dylan, actually, I asked him today because I listened to the episode again today and I was like, I need to know who this is. So, the person I mentioned last time, who was the cult leader whose family made him masturbate in front of them for a form of punishment, was David Berg, the leader of the Children of God cult. He was a super pedophile, wicked awful, awful person. And, like, that just goes to show, like, don't, first of all, don't abuse your kids. Also, don't discipline them with anything involving, like, sexual touch.
Sadomasochism. Don't fucking do it.
Just don't, because 99.9% of the time, they're going to do something horrible. Like,
they're not going to take that trauma and flip it. They're going to take that trauma and build. So don't do it. Just don't do it.
Because I can completely understand people who are, like, molested or assaulted in some way. I can understand that. And them being a great person even after that. But then you get people like this who are, like, forced to be touched by their mom at the age of 13 as a punishment, or masturbate in front of your entire family for punishment.
Yep.
That's just fucked up. It's just fucked up. The parents are fucked up. They have the responsibility. They should be getting life sentences as well. In my opinion. And my opinion...
I mean, I agree.
Yeah.
If it can be proven, they deserve something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, if you listen to I feel like a lot of the times, killers would probably try to blame their parents. Because they don't want to accept the responsibility. But a lot of the times, the parents deserve some kind of responsibility. Or they need to be held to their actions. Okay.
Yeah, one case that I really want to cover on that topic is the Menendez brothers.
Yep.
The two boys that actually ended up killing their parents because they suffered a lot of abuse at their hands and they saw it as their only way of escape. I think that one would be very interesting to go into.
Aren't they still alive?
They are still alive, and I believe they're fighting to get out of prison.
Yeah, I was actually reading about that recently.
I was too.
Yeah.
So we'll leave it at there. Maybe that's a hint for an upcoming episode.
That's a good episode. Yeah, that would be a good episode.
Definitely almost as heavy as this, if not more.
But
we'll follow it up with something light.
More cryptids!
Maybe a spooky story or something. But back to Fuckface Gary.
Yes.
So, Gary's urges to kill were only continuing to grow after this 12-person murder spree stint. But his old habits would literally come to bite him in the ass, because In 1983, Gary was questioned after 18-year-old sex worker Mary Malvar was last seen by her boyfriend getting into a paint-patched pickup truck. Marie's boyfriend described the man as dark-haired, in his 30s or 40s. They talked to Gary at his home after connecting the dots. But Ridgway denied knowing Malvar, and without any concrete evidence other than an eyewitness statement, which, to be truthful, most of the time aren't entirely accurate, Gary was left alone. Well, for a while. They would question him again in November. So just a few months later, this time asking specifically about the murders. But he denied any knowledge of the victims or crimes, and the task force still didn't have anywhere near enough evidence to connect him to any of the crimes. Later on, in 2003, Ridgway would confess to investigators that he stood against a fence when being questioned in 1983 about the disappearance of Malvar. He was actually concealing scratches she had left on his arm while trying to escape.
I'm shaking my fist right now.
After the police left, this scientist burned the scratches with battery acid to cover them. He's that bright.
Honestly, that reminds me of when my uncle ran out of Nair for his head.
Oh, no.
And he used battery acid.
Why would you do that?
He's a lot smarter than Gary Ridgway, but some people just do dumb shit.
Where is the common sense? That's my question.
So funny. Alright, continue.
So, off of that, after Nat's uncle fucked up his scalp for the rest of his life.
Nah, I mean, he's just bald.
Oh, well, nothing's growing back after the battery acid, so. Between the Green River Task Force questioning him in the spring and when they questioned him in November of 1983, Gary would commit another series of murders. The victims who disappeared between these months, and this is going to be a general list, are 22-year-old Tina Marie Thompson, 19-year-old Maureen Sue Feeney, Delise Louise Plaisir, 20-year-old Kimberly Nelson, 16-year-old Debbie Mae Abernathy, 25-year-old Mary Sue Bello, 18-year-old Martina T. Otherly, 16-year-old Pammy Avent, 21-year-old Constant Neon, 22-year-old Kelly Ware, 17-year-old Andrea M. Childers, 18-year-old Cherry Lee Wims, 29-year-old Carol Ann Christensen, 19-year-old Yvonne Shelley Antosh, 18-year-old April Boutram, 18-year-old Kelly K. McGinnis, whose body still hasn't been found, and 19-year-old Patricia Ann Osborne. Her body still hasn't been found as well.
Oh my god.
So as I was reading that, my guess is you were all waiting to figure out when I was going to stop listing names.
Yeah.
But like I said, he literally did not take a break. So, and to be honest, there is not much on his methods or what acts were performed on these women.
That's really interesting. Well,
like,
I guess
they're basically just like, he strangled them.
I guess
he assaulted them.
That makes sense for, one, the time.
Yeah.
And two, they're in bodies of water for a long period of time.
Bodies of water or definitely out in the elements. Yeah. So a lot of evidence of anything is, like, pretty much washed.
Although I'm surprised that they didn't have, like, semen or anything like that, considering...
We'll get there.
Oh, okay, good. I was gonna say, considering his entire profile already, it seems like...
He is a necrophiliac. So...
Well, that makes sense.
there's definitely things left behind.
Honestly, that does make a lot of sense, though, considering his sex addiction.
Yes.
And, yeah.
He actually said it was much easier for him to go and do that than it was to go out and find a new victim. So that's just a little taste of his mental.
So he, like, held on to them? Held on to their
He
bodies?
would revisit their dumping sites. Yeah. Yeah.
So he was fucking bodies that probably had, like, maggots and shit in them? Because it only takes a day to get maggots.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's disgusting.
Gary's a nasty person. But because
Gary, what?
he is a nasty person.
It's fucking disgusting.
And not very smart, because when 1984 came around, he tried to insert himself into the investigation.
Okay.
Yep.
He does have an IQ of 82.
Yes.
I think
very low.
We have to remind ourselves of this and try to understand his thought process.
Yes, but a fact for you is that most, like, egotistical serial killers that think they're smarter than you insert themselves in the investigation.
Ed Kemper.
Yes. So Gary's no exception. He literally on paper might not be very smart, but he sure as hell thinks he can outsmart you. And it is just because he was able to go on for so long.
Yeah, I was going to say, he's a killer. Like, he follows the same, like, statistical actions that most serial killers do.
Yes.
Like I said in the previous episode, he was made for a specific purpose. Like,
he was definitely groomed into the person he was.
Yeah.
But since he was already a person of interest in the case and knew the police were on him, he thought it would be a great idea to do something to protect himself. And what better way to do that than contact the police? So he lied and said he would offer himself up to help in the investigation any way that he could. Instead, in a turn of events, they gave him a polygraph test, which he passed.
What?
Because he denied committing any murders against these women. But if you are on, I don't want to say, like, the spectrum, because I don't know if that's proper terminology anymore, but if you have a low enough IQ or you have some type of learning disability, it can be very easy for you to pass a polygraph.
Yeah.
Because you can trick your brain into thinking something else. So, this polygraph test came right after he committed the murders of 21-year-old Lisa L. Yates, sometime between December 17th and December 23rd in 1983.
Right before Christmas?
Right before Christmas.
That's so fucked up.
Yes. 17-year-old Cindy Ann Smith on March 21st, 1984, as well as 16-year-old Mary Exida West on February 6, 1984.
Holy fuck.
So I apologize to anyone if I do not pronounce these names 100% correctly. Please message me. I will correct myself in the next episode.
Yeah.
But there was a break in the killings when Gary found something new to fixate on. A woman named Judith Mawson.
Okay.
And I don't have much on Judith, but I do know that she and Gary were married sometime in 1988. The pair actually remained married in a loving and incredibly intimate relationship until his arrest. So just think for a minute. Gary's murdering these women. He's going back and sleeping with their dead corpses. And then he's going and sleeping with Judith.
That's disgusting.
He told interviewers...
That is literally putting tears in my eyes. That's so fucking creepy.
It's disgusting.
It's so gross.
He told interviewers after he was captured that he felt less of an urge to kill when they were together.
Probably
And
because he was treated like a normal fucking person.
yeah. His statement actually rang true because his next killing spree didn't happen until October 11th, 1986.
Oh, wow.
So they met in, 85, so that was an actual whole year, which is his,
that's
largest
crazy. Yeah.
cooling off period at this point. But, like I said, his killing spree, his next one, didn't start until October 11th, 1986, when he crossed paths with Patricia Barczak. That same year, the Green River Task Force decided to do something outside the box to understand their killer. So like we said, this is like a very early introduction to serial killers and understanding the mind of serial killers, BAU, everything like that. So they interviewed someone who shared Ridgway's same outlook on life.
Oh.
Someone who he would be somewhat compatible with. None other than Ted Bundy.
Oh,
So,
boy.
after being recently put on death row, Ted Bundy had nothing left to lose.
Y'all know how
when
I
the
feel
murder
about
started
that guy. You know
in
how I feel about this
1982.
man.
In a show of pure ego, he would contact... In a show of pure ego, as we could expect with Ted Bundy, he offered to help the task force when it became clear that they were stumped. They did not ask him. He offered to help them. He wrote to them in a letter and said, "Hey, you want my help?"
If you could hear an eye roll, I hate Ted Bundy. He's such a pitiful human being. He's such an egomaniac.
He is. But surprisingly, he actually offered up some really helpful insight on the mind of a serial killer.
Well, of course, he's an egomaniac. As much as he could talk about himself, the better.
Yeah. I mean, Gary Ridgway was beating his numbers. He was beating his publicity. He wanted to take him down.
Damn.
He was envious of Gary Ridgway at this point.
Damn, they be fighting in hell.
Only one of them.
Ah!
So, he wanted to take him down. He gave them keys to this investigation that would eventually help them capture Gary Ridgway. So, during discussions with Detective Reichardt, who we mentioned in part 1, Bundy advised him that the Green River Killer may actually be revisiting the victims' bodies at their dump sites, as well as engaging in necrophilic acts with them. Ridgway himself would later confirm that Bundy was correct in his assumptions.
Well, wasn't Bundy... Oh, he wasn't necrophiliac, was he?
He was.
Okay, I was going to say, I remember...
That's why he knew enough about Ridgway. They were literally one and the same.
I know he, bit the dead bodies, butt cheeks. Do you remember that? They looked at his dental... that was when dental tracing was
Those dental records is actually what got Ted Bundy put away.
Yeah. Because didn't he have,
Honestly, it was kind of bullshit.
Well...
Watch the documentary on Netflix.
Wait,
it's really good.
The Bundy Files?
Yes.
I have only seen the awful movie where they glorified him with fucking Zac Efron. It made
Shocking,
me hate
evil,
him even
vile,
more.
strange, something.
Yes, incredibly vile, wicked, whatever.
I honestly didn't mind it. I thought Lily Collins and Zac Efron did a very good job. I thought the script was a little weird.
They did a good job, but they literally glorified him.
I think they took the perspective of showing Ted Bundy
as how he viewed himself.
How everyone saw him at that time.
Yeah.
So, most of it.
Yeah, because you didn't even see
all
him
people
kill
saw
anyone.
was Ted Bundy.
Yeah. You didn't see him kill anyone. Sorry, spoilers. You don't see him kill anyone in that movie. You see
No.
his bag full of tape and his buggy. But that's all you see besides when they actually have the court case.
But that's the fun part.
Yeah.
Because in that movie, Zac Efron did such an amazing job.
Yeah, he did
Because
really
he
good.
portrayed the exact picture of what the entire world, aside from Ted Bundy's victims, witnessed.
Yeah.
And then when he got to that court trial, he flipped a switch.
Yeah.
And it was like, boom, there's the monster.
Yeah.
He did so good.
You know, I never saw that movie in that way. I saw it as, why are they glorifying him?
Mm-hmm.
But I get it now. If you're if you're seeing it from the, oh, he's not a monster. He could never be a monster. Like, that's his whole shtick. Is he's so charismatic and he's so nice and caring. And
when you watch something like that, you have to put aside all the preconceived notions you already have and experience how someone would.
You know what? I have more respect for it now, and I have more respect for the directors and writers.
They did a
looking at
good
it
job
that way.
with that.
If you're just someone who's like, I love Ted Bundy, and you watch it, and you're like,
that's fucked.
And that's how I watched it. Not me liking Ted Bundy, but me going into it like, he's gonna murder people. And then having it be like, he's this great guy. I was like, what the fuck is this shit? And I watched it by myself, too, so I had nobody to talk to about it. And I was like, this is fucked up.
Yeah, so if you've watched it and you took that perspective on it, go watch it and tell yourself exactly what I just told Nat.
Yeah, maybe I'll have to watch it again.
It will change your experience.
Yeah.
100%.
Interesting. Yeah, I might have to watch it again just to experience that in a different way. So interesting.
It's all about perspective. Speaking of perspectives, dare we say that Ted Bundy actually did something right in his life in some strange, twisted way?
That's so fucking weird.
Because him revealing what he did with his own crimes and relating it to the Green River Killer was an integral part of them solving this case. Very important. If he didn't tell them that later on in the episode,
but
they wouldn't have gathered what they did.
Didn't Ed Kemper do a similar thing?
I believe he just had sex with the decapitated
No, not that. I'm talking about helping the FBI.
Oh no, FBI Ed Kemper definitely did do interviews with profilers. Sorry. As did Charles Manson and his fucking family, and a few other people I don't remember.
There's two guys that I had in my brain. I feel like Gary Ridgway. Oh my god.
Gary Ridgway.
Gary Ridgway. He's like the good
Can we just
version.
call him that for the rest of the episode to make him mad?
That's like the good version of him. That's like the
it's his alter ego.
The upside down. What is it called?
Good job. Yes. Clap for Natalie.
I'm like a baby when I talk about Harry Potter or Stranger
anything
Things.
that I watch or consume, Natalie's like walking on eggshells, like trying to get it right.
Because I've never seen any of it.
It's so sad. But
what were we talking? Oh yeah, Gary. Oh, I thought he was in the show Mindhunters.
He might be. I honestly need to go back and rewatch it. It's been too long.
Yeah, I feel like he was like one of the first ones.
I am a whore for rewatching shows. We'll just put that out right now. Comfort shows are a little fucked up, but I will rewatch and rewatch. I've watched Criminal Minds 3 times, Grey's Anatomy twice. I watched Game of Thrones 8 times each season.
Of Grey's Anatomy?
Yeah.
Oh my god, you're
I think you're missing the big one there. The entirety of Game of Thrones 8 times over.
Okay, but Grey's Anatomy
each season,
is literally
8 times.
12 seasons. How many is
Game of Thrones is like 10 hours a season. No commercials.
You watch it 8?
That's like 800 hours of my life.
Oh my god.
Of me just sitting there watching Game of Thrones.
A coot.
Good shit. But let's get back to Gary and his fucked upness, shall we?
I guess.
We're getting towards the end.
Okay, good.
Trust me.
Good.
So, unfortunately, though, from where we left off, another year passed without any immediate justice, and the Green River Killer would soon strike again. Roberta Hayes was last seen sometime in February that year, with her body being found 4 years later, and would be his sole victim that year, because the police had a lot to consider. They had several run-ins with Ridgway in the past, and all signs were pointing to him being an A-list suspect. So they finally put him on that list, right at the very tippy top, in red pen, underlined, highlighted, anything you can do. They're like Gary Ridgway.
Okay, but how many times did they have to fucking have run-ins with him to put him at the top of the damn list?
Like 2 times. But they were taking into consideration his past history with sex workers, the strange behavior he got, the accusations, people being like he's a little weird, everything like that. But in one of the documentaries I watched, Detective Reichardt was actually like, in my last confrontation with him before we arrested him, I poked him in the chest and said, I know it's you, you bastard. We're gonna get you. So they knew it was him.
He's a badass.
And they knew it was him for quite some time. But this is the 80s. DNA technology,
it's so
forensic
crazy.
Technology, not there.
Honestly?
So that's what you need to put this guy away. He does not leave enough behind. And that's why it took so long.
Yeah.
But Ridgway, being the absolute dumbass that he is, agreed to give the police a saliva sample.
What did he think was gonna happen?
At the time, like we said, he has an 82 IQ. And at the time, we just said DNA testing was very minimal, so it was very little help. But this sample is what would do him in a few years' time.
I'm sorry.
I don't know if he thought that if he spit in a jar, they'd just, like, throw it in the trash, but he's stupid.
And not because of his mental disability.
No, definitely not. Just the fact that he's an absolute egotistical dumbass.
Yeah, exactly.
But before he was finally captured...
what did he think? Oh, I've only been coming inside of them. My saliva's not going to match anything. Like, what?
I have no idea. He probably did not do well in science. He probably did not make it to biology. I do not know.
Oh my gosh.
But it was the 80s. Like, my dad was telling me about courses he had to take, and he had to take, like, 1 science credit, like, 1 history credit. I'm like, did you learn anything?
Good luck.
So I assume it's, like, the same thing. They just didn't know unless you went to school for it.
Yeah,
but
exactly. That's true.
Before he was finally captured, he took the life of one final victim, named Marta Reeves. The last time Marta's husband heard from her was March 5th, 1990, when she called him on the phone. So we're in the 90s now.
Oh my God.
Her strangled body was found on Highway 410 between mileposts 33 and 34 on September 20th that same year. So he pretty much just put her in plain sight. It's like he was over it at this point. In the first 2 years, he had killed most of his victims, and in the last, let's say, 3 years, he maybe killed 3. 3 or 4. So him and his wife, like, I don't know what she did, but it seems like she really had a way of, like, calming him down. I don't understand what it was, but
I don't want
to touch it with a 10-foot pole.
I don't want to fucking know, bro. She probably sloppy toppy 3,000, 360, 90% of the day.
With that man? Honestly, I don't even know.
I'm so sorry.
So, it took the Green River Task Force over a decade to finally nail Ridgway after that last victim. In March 2001, forensic testing finally began to pin down the killer. The investigators tried new techniques and examined evidence from the years Ridgway was active in a last-ditch effort. They barely had anything to work with at this point. He had not committed many close murders to this time in 2001. But they spent countless hours re-examining old pieces of evidence. They swabbed under the fingernails of victims' bodies that they could still take samples from, and they even took samples of strangulation marks to find anything they can use. They examined the ligatures, so anything he left behind that might have been used to strangle any of these victims, they tested it. Any last piece of evidence, they tested it. And they were actually able to find a few living sperm clinging to the pubic hair of one victim. The new DNA they collected was compared against Ridgway's saliva sample, and all 3 tests were a 100% match.
Gary, you dumb fuck.
By the time their tests were complete, and they had hard evidence, the police announced the arrest of the Green River Killer on November 30th, 2001.
Wow.
Almost 2 decades after the killing sprees began. The King County Sheriff, Detective Reichart, announced that Gary Ridgway, now 52, was arrested in connection with 4 of the early victims, Marcia Chapman, Opal Mills, Cynthia Hines, and Carol Ann Christensen. The women that started it all were the women that finished it for him.
I just got goosebumps. I've been thinking about Opal for the past few days. I don't know why.
It's a lovely name, and she was a very beautiful woman.
Really?
Very beautiful, yes. They all were. But almost 2 years later, Ridgway pled guilty. As a way to spare himself from the death penalty, he agreed to a plea bargain. This bargain included his confession and information regarding the details and locations of murdered bodies. Ridgway entered a guilty plea to 48 charges of aggravated first-degree murder. In this statement, Ridgway said, "I killed so many women, I have a hard time keeping them straight. Most of the time, I killed them in the first time I met them. I do not have a good memory of their faces. They were easy to pick up without being noticed. I knew they would not be reported missing right away. It might never be reported missing. I picked prostitutes because I thought I could kill as many of them as I wanted without getting caught."
I fucking hate this guy. I fucking hate this guy so much.
He is an asshole.
He's just
the scum of the earth.
A vile monster. Like,
yeah.
First of all, I don't know how many times I have to fucking say this. Sex workers are people too.
Yes.
They have lives, they have histories, they
Sex
have
work
emotions.
is honest work.
It's literally just a job for them. Like,
they don't go out there, they don't love these people. Do you love all your coworkers? Probably not.
It makes me so angry. Like, people just, like, his thought process, I felt like I could kill as many of them as I wanted to because nobody cares about them. Like, that just infuriates
guess what, Gary?
me.
It bit you in the ass.
Yeah.
It really did.
Which I'm really glad that we're talking about this in this time.
Yes.
Like,
we might have had a completely different perspective had we have talked about this 10 years ago.
Yeah, we would have just been like, oh, women died, whatever. Oh, they're prostitutes. Because, like, that's how people see it. For, like, Jack the Ripper and stuff like that. Like, he killed prostitutes. No, he killed people like Opal, Marcia, like, they have names. Cynthia. Yeah. Like, they're people. And I'm really glad that we're talking about this now because I feel like a lot of people are more open about talking about sex work and how it really doesn't have a reason to be illegal. Like,
other than being forced into it against your will.
Exactly. And I do understand the association between sex work and, like, drugs and stuff like that, but that is because of the circumstance, because of how it is viewed. And
Yes.
and if we view it a different way and see it as what it really is and not this horrible thing,
Mm-hmm.
it would not have those awful factors attached to it. That's simply it. And, like, you can toot off your horn and disagree with me, but I really don't think that it is a horrible thing.
No, I don't either. But Ridgway himself, precedent, like we've said numerous times this episode, he's an idiot.
Yeah.
He would go on to admit to killing most of his victims in his home or in his truck before disposing of their bodies in various locations. And I'm going to list the locations for you. And the areas surrounding the Green River, Star Lake, Highway 18 on I-90, Exit 38 on I-90, Highway 410 Highway 410, Highway 18, near the South Airport in Thai Golf Course, around North Airport and Ballpark, and other locations around King County, as well as Triguard, Oregon. He chose so many different locations, even crossing state lines, in an effort to confuse the police.
I mean, that's what Ted Bundy did.
Yeah. They are literally two sides to the same coin.
Well,
they really are.
Ted Bundy, Gary
had the
Ridgway,
charisma.
Ed Kemper, they're all... I understand how FBI profiling was so... Like, in that time, it was like a prime picking ground for their studies. It's just so interesting how everything kind of happened around that. Like, it was like a whole movement of serial killers.
It was
so
essentially
weird.
Reinventing the way that they do detective work and police work.
Yeah, it's true.
It was a whole renaissance when it came to, like, maybe instead of just thinking about the who, why don't we think about the why?
The why is, like, the most important, which we know now.
But they didn't then.
No. So crazy.
So, Gary was finally sentenced for his crimes on December 18th, 2003.
Oh my god.
So his trial took 2 years, but there was a lot to cover.
Yeah.
The King County Court judge overseeing his case sentenced him to 48 life sentences to be served consecutively with no possibility of parole.
Wow.
However,
I don't like the way your head just moved. However,
if a new bill is passed by the Washington House of Representatives and it has been presented to them, this could make it possible for Gary to petition his sentencing, as he included a waiver of right to petition for clemency in his plea deal. He can do this at the 25-year mark of his incarceration, and if he's successful, he could walk free.
This dude is like...
He could walk free from prison.
He's like 70-something now, right? 80s? Oh, well, fucking hope...
He's like 72.
Honestly, hopefully he dies soon. That's all I'm saying. Because... Why? Why would they even let that happen? They cannot. People would literally explode the planet from that.
You see, many people don't believe that he will ever be given the chance to do.
Yeah.
Considering the weight of his crimes and his confession.
Fucking crazy.
But I believe this bill is more in place for people of color that were caught, like, selling pot and things like that, that were given increasingly fucking ridiculous sentences for their crimes.
Yeah.
Just or because of the discrepancy in everything.
Accused.
Exactly.
There's so many people in jail right now who have been wrongfully accused for murders just because of their color. It's fucking crazy. People, you need to research this shit. It's so crazy.
One case I would love to cover, but it is so heavy, is Emmett Till.
Yeah. That's a really heavy one.
It is so heavy.
But
I feel like no one covers it just
Yeah.
because of how heavy it is. But Emmett Till was the changing point for everything.
Yeah.
And
True.
that poor boy, he suffered so much.
Mm-hmm. It's so crazy.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's the end of part 2.
This fucker.
And officially an end to my attempt at covering the Green River Killer.
This fucker's still
So,
alive.
Nat, final thoughts.
I'm angry, first of all. I'm angry that this man has been allowed to live for so long. I know the death penalty is very expensive and stuff like that, and a lot of people see it as cruel. But
What is your stance on the death penalty?
Well,
if you feel comfortable sharing it.
Like I said, I'm an accountant. I look at it more of like a fiscal thing. It is cheaper to keep prisoners for life sentences rather than death penalty, even though you wouldn't think that. But it's true because they have to jump through so many hoops in order to actually get to the death penalty phase.
Not to mention how much it probably costs to buy those drugs that you need for lethal injection from Big Pharma. That's a different conversation.
Yeah, people can't even get their fucking insulin. Like, what do you think?
I know.
They're gonna get euthanasia drugs for, like, $2? What the hell? Anyways, so, I don't know. I don't really know my stance. I don't think that they should be allowed to live life sentences, personally, because I think it is so disrespectful for their victims. But then on the other side, I think of people who've been wrongfully accused, who are allowed to live life sentences, and they are able to be redeemed because of technology that's out now that proves that they were wrongfully accused. So I think if it is something that is without a doubt, like something incredibly awful, like this guy, I think it makes sense. Like this guy, Ted Bundy, like, honestly, they should not be allowed to continue living because that is just spitting in the face of all of the victims' family members and anybody who's affected by what happened.
I go back and forth.
Yeah.
I'm not against the death penalty. I definitely feel like victims' families, give them that justice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the more sadistic side of me is, okay, put them in prison, let them suffer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But some of them don't suffer is the thing.
Exactly. So that's where I get hung up.
Yeah.
So people like Gary Ridgway, when he goes in, he probably is not going to suffer so much.
Yeah.
Honestly, he might rule the roost just because of his, crime history and everything.
Yeah.
The weirdos in there might look up to him. But if you have John Wayne Gacy, put him in there and let him suffer. You know what happens.
He would die.
You know what happens.
He would die immediately.
Prisoners, they have their own system of rules.
Yeah.
You don't touch kids. And if you do,
you die.
You deal with those consequences.
That's why,
okay?
Like, it's just crazy to me. I don't know. The whole prison system is really messed up, and the whole justice system
needs an overhaul.
Exactly. I totally agree. But yeah, that's all I gotta say on the matter. I have talked too much about what I think.
Yes. But before we wrap it up completely, I'm going to once again share the resources for sex workers, as I promised at the beginning of the episode, as well as share the complete list of Gary Ridgway's victims. Because I feel like that's important in a case of this magnitude.
I'm gonna cry my ass off.
So, we'll do resources first.
Okay.
The resources you or anyone in danger or in need of help can use are harmreduction.org/issues/sex-work. You can also text or call 888-702-7273. Once again, that is harmreduction.org/issues/sex-work, and the number is 888-702-7273. And now, the lengthy list of Gary Ridgway's victims.
Prepare yourself. If you are in a public scenario listening to this,
maybe go to the bathroom.
It's gonna be overwhelming, I'm sure.
So I am not... Should I give the ages?
No, I feel like you covered a lot of their ages. I think their names are the most important.
Okay. Wendy Lee Caulfield, Gazelle Ann Lavorne, Deborah Lynn Bonner, Marcia Faye Chapman, Cynthia Jean Hines, Opal Charmaine Mills, Terry Renee Milligan, Mary Bridget Meehan, Deborah Lorraine Estes, Linda Jane Rule, Dennis Darcell Bush, Shonda Leah Summers, Shirley Marie Sherrill, Rebecca Becky Marrero, Colleen Renee Brockman, Sandra Dennis Major, Wendy Stevens, Alma Ann Smith, Dolores Laverne Williams, Gail Lynn Matthews, Andrea Marion Childers, Sandra K. Gabbert, Kimmy K. Pitzor, Maria M. Malvar, Carol Ann Christensen, Martina Teresa Arthur Lee, Cheryl Lee Wims, Yvonne Shelley Antosh, Carrie Ann Royce, Constance Elizabeth Nyon, Kelly Marie Ware, Tina Marie Thompson, April Dawn Boutram, Debbie Mae Abernathy, Tracy Ann Winston, Maureen Sue Feeney, Mary Sue Bellow, Pammy Annette Advent, Delise Louise Plaisir, Kimberly L. Nelson, Lisa Yates, Mary Extenza West, Cindy Ann Smith, Patricia Michelle Barksack, Roberta Joseph Hayes, Marta Reeves, Patricia Yellowrobe, an unidentified white female Jane Doe, age 14 to 18, an unidentified female Jane Doe, age 13 to 24. And then this is a list of task force victims that is suspected, but he's not been officially charged with.
Okay.
So, Amina Eichchef, Casey Ann Lee, Tammy Lillies, Kelly K. McGinnis, Angela Marie Gerdner, Patricia Osborne, and a list of people he is suspected of killing. An unidentified black female whose age is unknown, Chrissy Lynn Vorak, Patricia Ann LeBlanc, Rose Marie Curran, Darcy Ward, and Cora McGurk.
Wow.
That is a very long list.
Yeah.
May they rest in peace, and fuck Gary Ridgway.
Literally, mic drop.
Yes. So, to wrap this one up, come and tell us your thoughts in the Discord server. We want to know what your thoughts are on this part 2, if you liked it, if you thought it was too heavy, you want us to stay away from it, whatever your feelings are. And, just send that into the Discord, leave a review, or send your opinion or your own stories into our email.
Waiting into the void.
Which you can do.
Oh. Waiting into the void at gmail.com.
Yes. So just head that with listener story and then whatever you're writing about, general topic. Or if it's thoughts on this episode, title it Gary Ridgway is an Idiot.
True.
My thoughts.
Honestly, though, we really, really, really want listener stories. I don't care.
We really do.
I don't care if it's a story you wrote and made up yourself. I don't care if it's something that happened to you when you were a little kid and you don't really remember. I don't care if it's a dream. I want to hear really weird, spooky stories.
Yes.
That we don't get caught for copyright from Reddit.
Yes. Reddit or creepypasta or anything that could make us bad people.
Unintentionally, of course.
Unintentionally, yes. And, while you're sending us those fun stories, you can follow us on social media. You can find us on Instagram at
Wading into the Void.
And we go live every other Tuesday, hopefully.
Give or take.
For Tarot, Tea, and Terror.
Yep. Yeah.
And you can find us on Twitter at
Wade into the Void.
And on TikTok at
Wading into the Void. If Katie makes me do the fucking monster mash to a TikTok dance.
Insert Monster Mash music here.
I think that's still... Man, copyright is out of control. Anyways.
Yes, but find us on social media at, the Wading into the Void socials, or if you want to connect with us on a more personal level, you can find Nat on Instagram at
Nat__ice. I post crazy shit. Definitely not family friendly. But I'm trying to transition into doing more video game stuff because that's what I actually enjoy doing. And I'm sick of all these creepy weirdos messaging me. So, the real ones, the real fans, the real people that actually want to talk to me, I love you.
Stick around.
But the creepy weirdos that keep asking to pay me to go places, I don't want to talk to you. Please stop messaging me.
Leave her alone. And if you want more lifestyle content, because that's, I think, what I'm going to decide to kind of head towards with this page.
Yeah.
With, some book stuff in there, too. A name change may be coming up in the future. Undecided on it. But for now, you can find me at the_page_snob.
Okay.
And until next time, Phantom Fam, please be safe out there. Don't get into a car with a stranger. Don't trust someone just because they have children. They could still be a terrible piece of human trash.
Yep.
And most importantly, look out for yourself and others. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.